Hi, I'm Kevin Conduras of B2B TV, and I got to sit down with Miss Bishop, our Assistant Athletic Director, to talk about how our teams did this winter. In the second year under head coach Mike Kennedy, the boys basketball team finished at 11-9 and made the postseason for the first time in 2 years.
In terms of basketball this year, boys basketball had a really great season. They started slow, but they ended up really turning it around in the second half. They qualified for the tournament for the first time in a couple years. They were led by Cole Houston, who's a junior. He was their leading scorer, Tahir Taylor, and Willow Day. They really solidified the front and the backcourt, and they drew a first round second seed. They played Needham, so it was a tough game. They led most of the way, but they ended up losing in the first round. But a really strong season and great showing for them.
Their best moment of the season came with a home win against Brockton.
For the first time they played Brockton in the season, they went there and they lost by, I think, almost 40 points. So Brockton came into our house thinking they kind of had it in the bag, and that's really when they turned the corner. Yeah, we had a packed crowd, the energy was insane, and they ended up upsetting Brockton pretty significantly. And I think that gave them the confidence they needed going forward for the season and definitely sparked them.
Without a senior on the girls' roster, they would finish at 5-15 and miss the playoffs.
The girls, they battle definitely the inexperience. They have a very young team, like you said, no seniors, but it gives them the advantage next year. The team will be, for the most part, the same, and so there'll be girls that have played together for a long time. They're definitely highlighted by sophomore Carly Whiteside. She was an OCL and a Cape and Islands All-Star, and in the Cape and Islands All-Star game, which they hold every year, she scored 30 points and she was named the MVP. She averaged about 18 points a game. So they definitely struggled this year, but I think if they come back healthy and with that, leadership of seniors next year, they'll definitely have more success.
In a down year for Barnstable hockey, they finished at 3-18-3. However, when the lights came on senior night, they scored 2 goals in the final minute of the game versus Falmouth to tie it up.
They're another very young team this year. Dan Black was the captain, and then they had 2 sophomores actually as the assistant captains. So that definitely kind of shows that, they're young, but their schedule is very, very challenging. Again, I think in the next few years, they'll really turn the corner. They struggled with injuries as well. They didn't have a consistent goaltender for most of the year, so that definitely hurt them. They have scoring ability, I will say, from watching their games. So I think once they shore up defensively, they will be successful. I mean, whenever we play Falmouth, it's going to be a game that's back and forth and competitive. But, given all that happened, with their team this year, I think we really showed who we are and what we want to stand for.
Despite finishing 11-8-3, the girls' varsity hockey team's luck ran out in the postseason when they lost their first round game against Weymouth.
I think they surprised a lot of people this year. They lost a lot of significant players, both to graduation and to prep school. So I don't know how high the expectations were going into the season. They weren't even sure if they would qualify for tournament, and I think they ended up really surprising a lot of teams. They came in second in their league, which is a very competitive league, with some big wins against Hingham. The 3 seniors on the team really stepped up. Megan Moore was the leading scorer. Danielle DeRozier and Olivia Pearsall also were really significant contributors. And junior Mackenzie Curtis, she's a defenseman. She was the second leading scorer. So between the 4 of them, they, I think, kind of really sparked the rest of the team, who was also very young. And making the tournament is one thing. I think in the future, though, they'll make it a couple more rounds deep and hopefully back to the Garden.
The Barnstable wrestling team finished just over 500 at 11-9, and their season was highlighted by their 3 players who competed in the Division I tournament.
Wrestling, they're always competitive, and it's one of those sports where you usually have a couple kids that kind of anchor you and consistently win their matches in their weight class. Like Jake Potts, Luca Koza were definitely those leaders this year. There's only 2 teams in the OCL that have wrestling, so we did win the league, and 7 of our kids won league titles in their weight class. This year, one thing that I thought was really neat was they had a girl on the team, Bruna De Silva, who was the first girl wrestler we've had in, I think, 6 or 7 years at Barnstable. And she held her own, so that was definitely something that was a highlight for them as well.
boys swimming team finished at 4-4 and was highlighted by their Bay State Colony All-Stars Mitchell Langfield and Jake Potts.
Swimming, I mean, they always have a strong group. In Cape Cod, we probably should be strong swimmers, but Barnstable is definitely no exception. They have a very competitive league schedule because all the Cape teams are pretty competitive when it comes to swimming. Mitch Langfield was really successful on the boys' side. He was our all-star. I think we had about 6 kids qualify for states, and we had 4 girls who were all-stars in the league as well. So overall, a successful season.
Finishing off our winter sports recap, the track team finished with another amazing season highlighted by Cam Donahue.
One thing about track this year, winter track specifically, we've had more kids participate in track than ever before. So we had over 100 kids sign up to run winter track. Not all of them will compete, not all of them will place, but to have that many kids involved, in athletics in any way possible. And they all showed up every day, they did what the coach asked of them, even if they weren't gonna, place in a state meet or, win a championship. So that was something that we definitely mark as a measure of success. One big highlight I'd say for track would be Cam Donahue. He's had a great career at Barnstable, and he actually placed second in the state pentathlon. This 8th grade class has high participation numbers and a lot of athletic skill. So I think in the next few years, those sports where we've kind of struggled a bit, looking to regain, kind of past glory, I think we'll start to turn the corner again. Boys hockey for sure. A lot of the girls' sports as well. We see the numbers going up, and the number of girls wanting to get involved with sports going up, and that is definitely helpful across the board in making sure we're successful. So.
And I'm Kevin Konduras, and you're watching B2B TV.